Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Inside Scoop episode 14, going live. Hey, Oscar.
Hey, there. How are you?
Not too bad. Not too bad. Wanting to optimize my life. Is that our topic for today?
That was totally not a topic we just discussed. We were going to talk
Yeah.
that was spontaneous.
Very spontaneous. Well,
in a way, it was.
It is, yeah.
A couple of hours ago when I decided to
pick our brain on the optimization a bit.
Yes.
Yeah. I think this topic is a good one to speak about, especially amidst all this, stuff that's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Because you start to doubt yourself, and despair creeps in, and I don't know. I just start thinking about time itself and how often we just waste the time, and so I think being mindful of the fact itself can lead us to find better ways to optimize that time. And I was watching this little report on
being mindful of, I didn't catch what you said.
Being mindful of the fact that we are wasting time.
Okay.
And then I think that's the first step to optimization of our time and of any processes that we would perform. I mean, if you don't have any kind of output, there's nothing to optimize. Even in like a business process, a manufacturing process. If there's nothing that's coming out the other end as a finished product, there's nothing to optimize to increase the gains or the yields, whatever. So
yes. And that's a very important point. So optimization works within a context, as a lot of things. So you kind of focus on a thing that you want to optimize for, and then you look at all the surrounding things, and you kind of look at trade-offs and places that you can make to reach a certain optimization for a certain attribute or trait, say, of yourself that you want to hone. You make trade-offs in other areas, say.
So do you think that we have to sacrifice something in order to gain something else?
We have to sacrifice time, I think. That's like the most obvious one, if we want to, for example, become good at something. But I guess, yes, once we pick whatever it is what we want to become good at, or not necessarily us, but when I actually started, where I actually got to thinking about optimization was from when I studied engineering in high school, when we learned that nothing is 100% efficient, right?
Mm-hmm.
In terms of energy. So I thought that applies pretty well to, personal traits, which aren't measurable in the same way, but within like your community, I suppose it's I'm going in circles here, but yeah, I guess in anything that we do, we can't be 100%. We can't be perfect, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we can get very close, but like not all the way there. And the other thing is like defining what all the way there is. In engineering, that's not a problem because we speak of energy and like how much energy is put into a process, and like how much of it is used and how much of it is wasted. But in other contexts, that can be like more what's the word? Ambiguous, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Engineering is a very, very like strict rules. Such a very like what is it? It's one of those mathematical science. I forgot the word. There's two different disciplines of sciences, like the social sciences, sort of, the languages, and then the other one, which we are currently in. What is it called?
Oh goodness.
STEM stuff, basically. But
yes, science, technology.
Yeah. So, but basically, these sciences are more like, yeah, that's the thing. I'm looking for a specific word and I can't find it. Basically, so these sciences are very determined. These sciences are already like very precise, particular. It's you're not really gonna have 5 different interpretations
Right. Yes. The
of
context
a
is
certain.
very well defined.
Yeah, yeah, something like that. So in that sense, there's there's the golden rule of mechanics, which when you introduce the idea that you don't really have an infinite amount of energy, you have to sacrifice it somewhere, take it from somewhere else if you want to dedicate it towards some other thing that you choose. So the rule of mechanics claims that, for example, the less force you need, the more distance you need. It's when you want to displace something. For example, you want to lift an object, and if you're using a ramp or a lever or belt pulleys or any sort of other mechanical equipment, if you want to use less force, it means that your ramp has to be at a lesser incline, so you're gonna have to push it further. Means that you're using less force, sure, but the distance is greater. Means that you're really not winning anywhere. It's just the way you sort of choose to do it, and I think it's a very nice metaphor of how you sort of can look at task scheduling, I guess.
Yep.
Because imagine if you have a ramp which is at a very huge incline, means you have to brute force everything. You need to use a lot of force to lift it up, but the distance is not far. It means you get done with it very quickly. Otherwise, you can choose a different approach of sort of easing it out, but you're gonna stretch it along, a long time of basically a long time. And when thinking about optimization, yeah, again, you have to choose. You have to choose what you really want to optimize for.
And with the ramp, there is a certain sort of, I suppose, optimal angle that you would have. Because if you make it too steep,
to get that golden middle, whatever. But talking about the two extremes, it's usually you choose what you want to optimize for. So again, coming back to imagine that the distance is time. So the distance of the ramp is the time. It's just metaphorically speaking. And then the force that you're using is I don't know, the effort you put into learning something. So you can either sit down and work hard, spend the whole day doing it, but you're not going to have to spend the whole week doing it while we're slacking off or something. It's it depends. Depends on what the optimization is. I had a friend and he's working at a company, was going to do a master's degree. And the master's degree, I think you can do it in a year or even a half a year, because, there was a specific amount of credits he had to get and everything. But the person chose to do, I think, 2 hours a week or even less and stretch it across 4 years. The amount of work that you need to put in is the same, but for that person, the optimization was stretch it to as long of a period as possible, because his work also covers the charges every year. So if you have it in 4 years, you're going to have 4 times the amount of grant from your workplace and stuff. So yeah, the optimization is there. People choose what they want, I guess.
One thing to look at, I guess, that's quite interesting is we live in certain communities, and one thing that we can do to live, or one thing people generally do is try to choose the path of least resistance. So kind of conforming with some sort of societal standards or stuff like that, or expectations, familial expectations, or kind of pressures from your peers, and kind of the easiest thing to do, I guess, is take the route of, or the path of least resistance. So in that sense, that's kind of, I guess, optimization to get, I suppose. The thing we talked about previously, as we all often talk about, is changing your environment, or changing the external influence rather than trying to do everything internally. Sometimes it's like optimizing for your environment, I guess,
Yeah.
to work well in tandem with it.
Yeah, one very important thing is, as you just mentioned, because I have it in my notes even, that optimization is basically minimizing friction around yourself.
Yep.
Uh, because if you can minimize the friction, again, if we're thinking about mechanics and, physics, how nicely it fits, if there's less friction, you're obviously going to have to expend less force. And it just works in our real, like in life, it just works. If you're gonna prepare everything the day before, the night before, if you're gonna layer clothes, prepare, I don't know, maybe even breakfast, put in the fridge, just so you wouldn't need to think about anything when you wake up. So
Right.
you wake up, you put your clothes on, you eat that breakfast that you just made yourself, and you've just saved up on the time and effort and energy, I guess. Thus, but you have to have a very clear goal why you're doing this.
Yes.
So assuming, I don't know, there's a conference waiting or something exciting, you can spend more time and more energy towards that, which you chose, as opposed to just, I don't know, useless things. I guess not useless, it's just different things. For example, I'm not dissing on people who actually like to, stand by their wardrobe and pick their clothes for 2 hours. It's just their thing, Maybe that's, you can't really optimize that because that brings happiness for the person and everything. So yeah, it's pretty much that. But for me personally, yeah, I just want to, like, I wear black because it just works, I guess.
Less choice to make.
Less choice, I guess, as much as it may sound boring, but yeah.
Yeah,
just easier.
It's not that. Yeah, I guess it's not something that's important to you. So that's that works in your benefit. In terms
Yeah, for
of
me, yes,
time.
yes, but it's just for me personally, and I'm not like saying that this is the way to do it. It's just my way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I actually. It's a recent thing. Sometimes I don't care what I wear. Other times, I try to like match things and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I look good and So I don't have like all black wardrobe or anything like that. And I guess after some time, like I become or not after some time, like I just generally like some shirts over others, for example. So like it'll be a quick and easy pick for me. It's kind of like a list of an ordered list of how much I like wearing each shirt, and then I'll look in my wardrobe and see what isn't like in the washing basket, wash up like
yeah. But you know what this
whatever
means.
is clean.
Yeah, but you know what that leads to is basically the same as choosing your favorite band, music band, choosing your favorite newspaper, choosing your favorite brand. For example, an iPhone. It's known to be a very stable, very simple, easy, and if you like it, you basically fall in love with that, and that's it. You just know that next time you go and look for a phone because your phone broke, or for example, you need news, and every day for example, if you read news every day, usually you're going to choose one source over another. But yeah, so again, this is a very huge different debate talking about fake news, and we've talked about this in our previous episodes on how you have to gather different sources to make up your mind and stuff. But just in general, because it's easier, less friction, you're gonna choose different things over another things,
especially for things that are outside of your circle of influence. Or it was Jack Willings, what is it, I can't remember. He's got this thing, a circle of concern. There's like a circle of influence, in a circle of concern. And
is it Jocko Willink?
Yeah.
Okay.
And like I think it was him. And so the idea is to keep your brain or keep your thoughts to the circle of influence, and generally out of the circle of what's I just said it,
concern.
So you want to concern yourself essentially though with can't remember if it was circle of concern. But anyway, you want to concern yourself with things that you can influence and that affect you essentially. And
Okay.
so right, you might benefit. And I listened to that podcast you just mentioned, or that episode, and you talked about exactly that thing about not caring too much if something is true or isn't true, because it doesn't matter, doesn't have any effect on you. And I think the one in that example was about a Buddhist monk or something meditating on a tree, and that he left an imprint on the tree. Yeah.
Yeah, on like wooden floor.
So like some things, it's important, I think, that you read different sources.
Yeah, but if you know, if it's the stock market and you're willing, you are ready to put your money down on something, you're buying stocks. You're not gonna go and listen to some, you know, so-called guru on YouTube who's like, okay, buy stocks A, buy stocks B, or whatever. You know, you're not doing that. But when it comes to things like that, you know, some claims that, oh, there was some monk who, you know, who stood on the floor for so long that it just made a dent in, like, sure, yeah. I mean, don't go around, you know, forcing this knowledge onto other people. Like, don't share it on like every single platform claiming that, oh my god, this is the best thing, because, you know, this may be fake, this may be false news, you know, and there's so many fake news around. But it doesn't really concern you, or just, you know, you don't even have to think about it, you know, just, or maybe not even read it. You may as well just put your filter on and just don't even.
Yeah, so somewhere in that area. Let's see.
Do you want to hear a definition I found today of what optimization is?
Okay.
So optimization, basically thinking one step ahead, is, yeah, I think it's a very fitting description.
That's just interesting description.
It is, yeah. Well, again,
it makes sense.
There's so many different, again, areas, yeah. But when it comes to our own, because again, our podcast is, for now at least, is self improvement, self, you know. So optimization of your daily processes and everything. Thinking one step ahead. I like this description. I don't know.
It's an interesting one. I can see where you're coming from with that one, because I actually just looked it up as well, and there is a more I guess a simpler, more basic the definition of it in the dictionary, whatever dictionary that is, from Oxford.
Dictionary definition. Okay.
Yeah, but the one you said about being one step ahead is interesting, because it's kind of like having that. Because you're thinking a few steps ahead or a step ahead, you kind of have a little bit more knowledge to make a better decision on something.
Yeah.
If we want to make this tangible.
Well, for example, let's take processors. Central processing units, also known as CPUs. Some of them, for example, Intel is using this technology where you have, for example, 2 cores and 4 threads. It just basically means that you're splitting one physical core into 2 threads, yeah? So like, it's a way to optimize the process, because this basically means you have one mouth, so one processor, and now you have 2 hands, so you can grab food from the table faster with 2 hands, so thus, you know, 2 threads, as opposed to having this gap between your hand, like, you know, taking food. I think it's just a simple example, but yeah. So it's the same here, you know, you only have 2 legs. You can only, well, for now anyways, you know, until we discover teleports or whatever, you can only be physically in one place in the world anywhere, yeah. So it basically means there's only so many places, well, again, one, where you can be in the world. And if you waste your time by commuting or going to other places which really aren't going to yield much benefit. The most basic example, yeah, the Riverside shop in our town here, it's far away from me. And with my flatmate, I was going down, you know, and thinking, hey, but we also have this little corner shop, like literally just like 1 block away from our flat, and also sells most of the essential things. So why didn't we just, Google at first, or, look up the map and see that, well, maybe all we need to do is walk the block. We don't need to, cross the town just to get to the shop. It's probably just has all the same things. So it's basically like optimizing the things that you have or whatever. I don't know. Just lost the train of thought, I guess.
Yeah, no, it's a tough one because I think we're trying to be a very generic, very general. I think it's a topic we can also come back to another time. I think I want to look at more into.
Yeah, to get something more specific on. Yeah.
Yeah, like I mean, I want to look at optimization within mathematics and within, yes, engineering as well.
Mm-hmm.
To kind of, you can kind of come from these tangible things and apply them to the real world because they're objective, whereas our like kind of fleeting idea of how things are can base a lot on it. And also like with, I suppose, if you have a general idea such as I want to be successful, like what would your idea of successful for you?
Mm-hmm.
No,
so,
like what,
so that's
what,
a question.
Yeah, a question for you right now.
What
would you have to be for you to think of yourself as successful? Not as a universal thing, but for yourself.
Yeah, because I was thinking, like, listening to your train of thoughts, and then like, wait, how did we end up here? That is a very philosophical dilemma, dude. I mean, I've been discussing with
because I just wanted to tie your idea of success for you into what I was saying. But yeah, go on. Did I break your train of thought? Sorry.
Well, it's not an easy answer, I'd have to like look into stuff. But if you want me to generalize a lot, I want to make positive impact. Basically, I would feel successful if I knew that, for example, the most basic thing, my content is reaching people and it is influencing them in a positive way, hopefully. This is, obviously going to evolve and everything, and I've already had people from back in, I used to vlog in high school, and I would get messages like years after, people would just say, you helped me see inside that, and like I chose this high school because of you, thanks, blah blah, can you help me out on more, like advise me on more topics? I'm like, yeah, sure. So it just feels very fulfilling, and I guess, yeah, but there's many more successes I would describe, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so where you said it will evolve, that's not what I was waiting for, but that's really important that you said that. So that totally ties into what I was going to say, which is that with time, whatever you're optimizing for is going to change in terms of, because we have this idea of success, and I think, our idea over time of success changes, but we're always trying like optimize for success, right?
Mm-hmm.
I guess. But that changes, so the optimizations that we make in our life also change. So it's something that's very malleable. It's not something that can be written down and I guess followed forever.
So the optimizations also have to be recalculated and morph with a goal that you're going for.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't feel like I'm optimizing too much. Oh my god, dude! I really
no. Like don't think about it too much, right? As well.
No, but the thing is, you can't close yourself off from all this. Yeah, like I know what I want to achieve. For example, now there's very basic things that I want. There's very, very basic things. I want this podcast to be successful. I want my game to see its launch by the end of the year, and to be a somewhat successful launch, so I would at least make the money that I spent into it, So, so like to get that out, But I don't know.
Yeah, that's very important. Most importantly, though, the things that I just said about optimization and the things changing, don't like take that too hard and feel that you have to apply it. It's just an exploration of it.
It's very nice, but it also like pushes me to sort of feel bad about myself, not because I've been trying to go to sleep earlier, wake up earlier. You remember my morning pages? I did it for 2 days. I think I did it for like 2 days. That's it.
Right.
It's just like
my thing for 2 days as well.
Exactly. So it's either I'm guilty of not, I don't know, sticking through with it, and I'm weak, or maybe that thing is just not for me. Maybe, maybe it's a bit different.
Yeah.
Um,
But yeah, so I mean that it's possible. Yeah, possible. That's completely fine because I mean for me, I didn't feel like it was at the time helping me that much, and right now, I mean, in the last 2 days, I went out cycling, and it wasn't from any kind of sort of impulse that I need to do something for my health or that it's going to help me in some sort of way. It was purely because it was I just kind of wanted to. I don't know why. It was sunny outside. That was one of the things.
mhm.
Whereas I don't know, in the past I might have kind of took up cycling for some reason, but right now, what's great is I even really identify why, because cycling's just become such a big part of my life
Mm-hmm.
that just because it was sunny outside, I just wanted to go out and go for a cycle. So I think with a lot of things, if you can get to a point where you just kind of, and I think we said this so many times, where you just kind of do it.
Yeah, and this ties very nicely into Mandar's message. A friend just messaged me, and I forwarded on to you, where we have made a video in the past, and he sent me back the video. Is when we were sitting around and thought, what's the best way to make a YouTube video? Like some cinematic short, experience. And I'm not sure if you've seen it. It's the how to be productive video, and we just thought, why not to just do it? I think that's the best way to be productive, is just to be productive. So
I mean, it's so true.
And then we just sat around, and I thought, oh, wait a second, I actually do have a camera in my backpack. So I took the camera out and we filmed that video. And in that video, we also sort of like acted a little situation where a person is sort of sorry, watching cat videos on YouTube, and then just like, maybe I should work a bit, and then goes to Google, sort of Googles how to be productive, starts reading it, and just scratches everything and just goes to work. Basically, just starts working. It's like, you're not really gonna find any sort of, I don't know, formula to success, formula to productive or optimized or whatever. These mathematical formulas, even they can be for certain specific exercises, the ones you do in mathematics, for example. There's always a solution for them. But for our lives, again, where you mentioned it very nicely about how you can't really find like a defined formula. You have to
stay on your toes, I think.
Yeah, and then always keep improving, and because that's like nature. I mean, it's just constantly. I just look at the yin yang bracelet I have, and yeah, that's it. Everything ties nicely together into that. The way the nature, black and white. As much as this all sounds, bunch of non-related terms, but everything comes back nicely into that. Nothing's static. And
so I think in mathematics there is just a right and a wrong answer, and well, then optimization, and then in engineering it kind of goes slightly farther away from that, to where there can be a lot of variables that you just sort of have to, or well, in mathematics and like pure mathematics, but it can be, the more variables that you get, the less that you can actually keep them all, or consider them all and work them into some sort of equation or whatever. And then when you go all the way to everyday life, how you work, how you just keep going forward, and the decisions that you make, it's constantly changing. So you can make, there's certain decisions that you can make, or there's certain things that you can, certain principles that you can follow, that kind of stick for a long time, and are valid for a long time. But for other things, just keep recalculating on the go.
Yeah.
And I've said this before. For me, where it was with philosophies, that every couple of months I came up with a new philosophy to like go forward, because as soon as I made it up, it kind of started a process of debunking it.
Okay.
So I got to the point where I was like, ah, shit, well, that doesn't work anymore. Gotta start on a new one. But that was just the problem. I mean, it got me to think about the world in a deeper way, in a deeper manner. At the same time, it's so unnecessary, because you can totally live without that. But it was beneficial in the sense that I actually saw it come up, that kind of deeper thinking or overthinking, where I was, I suppose, studying for exams very, what was the word, very intensively, because I had maybe like a couple or 3 or 4 days to study for an exam. In those moments where my mind was like on the highest gear, like going 1,000 miles an hour, that's where I came up with, like, that's where I wanted to. That's where naturally deep thinking came about. So that's kind of when kind of went on a tangent, and I completely forgot where I came from. But that's where I would write down. That's where I would write down all these thoughts that I've had. So what I found actually is that in itself was motivation to study hard. Because if I studied hard, meaning I would have to really think about the subject, naturally I would also, because my brain was in this high gear, I could kind of shift that to another subject of my own and think really deeply about that. I don't know if that makes any sense, but yeah, I just went off on a tangent off of something, and I completely forgot.
Yeah, I think we can also come back to this. Like, we have to keep documenting these little tangents, because I think we can make full blown episodes on those. I think I'm halfway through the Marcus Aurelius Meditations, which is basically the godfather of Stoicism. So Stoicism is, it's another philosophy, and when you mentioned that you sort of look into one philosophy and then sort of go to a next one, yeah, I'm sort of experimenting, I guess, now, slowly, just like looking around of what exists, what previous literature there is, on these philosophies and scriptures and whatever. Yeah, but I don't know, I think we've covered optimization pretty okay-ish.
One more thing,
okay,
that I find pretty interesting, because the whole philosophies thing where I'd make up every 2 or 3 months, and that would kind of keep me going. There's another thing with religions, where people have some sort of values, or some certain sort of set of things, principles that they follow, and you can, to follow something religiously means that you follow it no matter what. So could you potentially make up a set of rules for yourself and just follow those? And I think you definitely can. Mostly religious people kind of do that, instead of constantly reevaluating your approach with, say, philosophies about.
That is another way of optimizing, I guess, is choosing one or the other, or having either everything be constantly morphing into, new and new, just like, very basic example again, but I'm developing a game on a software called Unity, and I'm constantly I think I'm now on the alpha release. Like, I'm always updating to the newest beta alpha, which is an unstable release, so like you never know what can break, so it's dangerous. Same with philosophies, I guess. You never know how this can backfire, but at the same time, I'm always getting the newest things, the newest features. So same here, if you find some new philosophy and you think, oh, that sounds good, you should probably try it. But there's the other end of the spectrum, which is like your philosophy set in stone. I think maybe as we get older, we're probably gonna find that philosophy, that rule set for ourselves, like being I don't want to quote like those masculine gurus, which basically say that you have to be like a real man these days, have to be a stoic, the man has to be religious, and the man has to be strong will and everything. But yeah, that's a different topic from optimization, but right. And I think it's very interesting to look into it next time. But
yeah, I think so.
Optimization is, again, minimizing friction, I guess. to a certain extent. And minimalism also ties into that. And I think we talked about minimalism as about the wardrobe and how you sort of minimize your own feed, for example, your news feed by just, I don't know, unsubscribing from magazines that you're not agreeing with or whatever. So
yeah, if you minimize I guess as well, the number of choices that you have to make in a day, like I read somewhere or heard somewhere. Yes, this ties into optimization in some way.
Well, your CPU, again, your computer is running optimally. What does it mean? Or when there's like a little button on phones that says optimize your device, it's basically closing background apps. It basically means getting rid of anything that is not currently the main focus, the main priority. So same here. If you want your day to be optimized, you need to get rid of all of those, oh my God, what is it? Keeping up with the Joneses and stuff. Some celebrity did that. Like, just tune that buzz out. I don't know, food. Have your food ready. Your clothes, your workspace. Keep it tidy so you would want to sit down and work. And these are just very basic things that I try to apply. But yeah, that's pretty much how it is, optimize. And then once you throw things that are not necessary for your daily life, then I feel like that is an optimized day, I guess. Because again, thinking about the computer, it closes everything, it deletes everything, then it runs optimally. So same for you. Your brain runs at an optimal frequency or whatever, when there's not so much buzz coming in from everywhere. And the less things you need to process, the more fluent that's going to be, I guess. That's the...
Yeah. The
I
more
like this
optimized
one.
you're going to be at the one certain thing that you're focused on.
Yeah. I think we could even end today's podcast.
I think that's a good place.
Yeah. So as always, coming up with the last words of wisdom to share, something about optimization.
Do you have anything right now?
Well, my mind is somewhere in the area of optimize your mind the way you optimize your computer or something. Well, it's
interesting.
Very, very stupid, I guess, but in a sense, yeah. Try to optimize.
Keep recalculate. That's very scientific. Calculating.
Oh man,
I'm not sure.
It's tough. Well, optimization is thinking one step ahead. If just coming back to the same thing, but
yeah. I mean, that's
that's the description of it, but we don't have anything better to end with for now. We're gonna have more episodes on this, but for now, keeping it concise and consumable in
for all of that, yeah,
it's gonna be fine.
Awesome.
Minimize friction, think one step ahead.
Yeah, minimize friction.
Minimize friction, think one step ahead, and you're optimizing. I think so.
Sounds good.
That's gonna work. That's gonna do for now. Thanks, Oscar. Thank you very much for constantly making the appearances here. Keeping me company. Thanks a lot. And thanks everyone for listening. See y'all later.
See you.